we've got this going. Give me 1 second here. I usually have my AI automatically record, but I want to make sure we're doing it. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right. So today's seminar is probably going to be a little different from some of the other webinars or master classes or events you may have been to before. And that's primarily because this is meant to be a space where I'm not just like here sharing a bunch of information and you just listen in the background. Okay. You'll notice that our numbers here, they're actually climbing a bit, but they're smaller than like hundreds of people here in the room. And part of the reason for that is because I want this to be an opportunity for us to connect more together and to create this experience with each other. Okay. So I'm really going to invite you to take a little risk here, be a little vulnerable with me, and be willing to show up and share because I know that can be kind of a difficult thing to do. Not sure what people are going to think, or, these are just complete strangers, myself included, on the internet. But I promise you, if you really want to get the most out of our time today, the more you are open to willing to share and participate, the more you're going to get out of it. Okay, so enough on that. The next thing I want to make sure that we discuss before we dive in is I also want to just be totally real with all of you and let you know that one of the things that I love to do, if you've been to one of my events before, you know this, you've seen it, I've done it before, but I want you to grab your phone. If you're on your phone already, I want you to head over to your alarms, okay? And if you don't have your phone, like seriously, go get it. You're gonna set an alarm for 9:09 a.m. or p.m., doesn't matter. Don't worry about like time zones or anything like that, but I want you to put with that alarm the phrase, I am not alone. Okay, and every time this alarm goes off, I want you to remember that. Okay, I want you to remember and think about the truth that you have heavenly parents, you have Jesus Christ, you have all sorts of angels, ancestors, the universe, the divinity, however you love to think about it. There's so much spiritual support that is available to you. But more than that, look at all the women who are here in this room who are excited to be exploring and caring about this topic and these ideas around our sense of self, our divine nature, our spiritual identity, and our mother in heaven. Okay. Sometimes it feels like we are alone. We are the only one who's asking these questions, who has these thoughts, who's thinking these things. And I want you to know you are not alone. Okay. Every time I do one of these, we add more and more women to this like intangible spiritual thread that is connecting all of us. And every time that alarm goes off at 9:09, not only do I want you to remember that you are not alone, I want you to use it as an opportunity to send and receive support to each other as well. So you can pause for just a minute whenever that alarm goes off, close your eyes for a second, and I want you to imagine like a beam of light shining out to all the other women who have that alarm on their phone. And I want you to be sending them love and support and encouragement and just let them know like they are amazing. Whatever they're facing in their day today, they're not alone. You have their back. Even if you don't know their name, you don't know where they live, you don't know who they are, energetically, spiritually, we can love and support and connect each other. Okay. And then this part is important because we often love, love, love to like give and support and love to others, but sometimes it's harder for us to receive it ourselves. But I want you to make sure that you pause and then you imagine that light and love and support and care flowing back into you. Okay, let it fill you up. Let it encourage you. Let it strengthen you. Let it be a part of your day, of your spiritual practice, right? Remembering that we have so many more ways to strengthen one another than just physically showing up and bringing cookies or dropping off or sending a little text message, right? Those things are wonderful. They have value. It's great to have people in your life who can do that. But we also can spiritually and energetically support one another. And we're going to talk a lot about why that matters and the significance more of it today. Okay, so I've been talking for a while now. You should have had time to get your phone. If you don't have it yet, grab it, set your alarm 9:09 a.m. or p.m. I am not alone. Okay. And now I want you to head over to your text messages and I want you to text the word hope to my phone number here, 385-212-4236, if you are someone who feels like you're particularly struggling right now. Okay, I specifically set aside time on my calendar just to connect and talk with women who are feeling like I need a little bit more today. Like I'm having a hard time. I have questions, I have struggles, I have challenges, I have things in my life I never know what's going to happen on these calls. They're always magical, beautiful, and perfectly aligned for whatever they need to. But I want to make sure I'm making that available in case any of you need that. Okay, so go ahead. Again, my phone number is there in the chat, 385-212-4236. Text the word hope if you're like, I need more people, I need more resources, I need more connection. I just need a soft place to land and place the heavy things on my heart. Okay, we've got that space for you. Right? Now, the last thing I have to say is I also love to make sure that I'm being totally real with you and let everyone know that like I love holding these seminars and webinars and master classes and all these sorts of events because I love women. Like there's a lot of people who are passionate about women and empowering women, and I think that's awesome and great. But for me, it is more than just something I'm passionate about. Like I genuinely love women from little girls, young women, young adults, to women who are well in their wisdom years far beyond myself. I just love women. So any chance I get to connect, to be with, to celebrate, to sit down with women, like I'm there. And additionally, I love being able to share resources to help you know and understand yourself, your divine nature even more. That's part of why we're here. And I think it's such an important thing that I love being able to make opportunities like this that are completely free, right? It's why I open up these spots to connect with people for free. It's why I hold events like this. And I also want to make sure that you know part of why I'm here is this is also something that I do professionally. Right? I love being able to take that relationship and that connection and diving deeper into it and supporting women in additional ways than beyond what I can do in just a surface level connection. So the things we're going to talk about today, they're powerful. You're going to get some good breakthroughs, some aha moments, realizations, practical tools you can use and apply in your life. But this is just like the very beginning of what we can actually dive into when we work together more. And so I can't go into all of that in just like the 60 to 90 minutes that we have available today. So I just want to give you a heads up that there's going to come a point where I'm going to ask each one of you a simple question about whether you're interested in doing more together or not. And all I ask is that when that moment comes, you answer honestly with a simple yes or no. Okay? No pressure, no pretending, just two people being real with each other. Cool? Okay. So with that, you now know why I'm here. I want to know, why are you here? Okay? Of all the things you could be doing today, why this? Why did you show up? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay? 'Cause there are so many things that could be calling your attention. I want to see, why are you here? Give you a second to kind of write that out, think about it, drop it in the chat when you're ready. Okay. We got a few starting to come in. I want to be involved in more things that bring me closer to God and my divine potential. Ooh, yes, Jessica. Yes, yes, yes. Me too. Amy says, connect with others who have a high vibe. Yes, yes, yes. You are in the right place for that. I love it. Love it. Hey, so many good things. Okay. I know from your forms when you signed up for this that there are additional reasons why you said, oh, here we go, here we go. Now they're coming in. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Okay. I think it's important us to remember that we have a Heavenly Father and a Heavenly Mother too. Absolutely, Tammy. Thank you for that. We are going to be discussing that as well too. Let's see. Susan says, needing deeper spiritual connection. Yes. Ashley says, I love all things Jesus, and this is a unique approach to understanding him better. I love it. Me too. You are going to love this, what we're talking about today. Okay. Cynthia Ben says, I want to learn more about Heavenly Parents. Yes, yes, yes. Heidi says, learn more about Heavenly Mother. Yes. Johnson says, I love Heavenly Mother. I'll take any chance I can to talk about her. Oh, good. You are right here in a great place. Krista says, connecting with myself and Heavenly Father and the Savior and Heavenly Mother spiritually. Yes, yes, yes. So good. Isn't it amazing we have this incredible support team for us? I love it. Okay, Jolene says, I love all the above comments. I want to gain a greater connection and grow my testimony. Okay, so good. So good, guys. Many of you have said, in at least in some part, that you are hungry to understand more about your connection with divinity, right? Whether that is our Heavenly Father, our Savior Jesus Christ, and especially our Mother in heaven. right? And that specifically also ties into a lot to our role as women, to our identity as a daughter of God. And I want to let you know right up front that that desire is holy. Okay. Sometimes we feel a little uncomfortable, like, ah, is it okay? Should I be feeling this? I don't know, right? And I love that we've had that reminder here of like, yes, we want to remember we have a Heavenly Father. Like, absolutely. And one of the most beautiful things for me in my own experiences, the more I have come to understand my Heavenly Mother, which occurred through seeking to become more like Jesus Christ, we're going to talk about this more later, actually came to know my Heavenly Father better too and deepen my relationship. So, all three of them, like if you have a desire to connect with any of them, the things we're going to be talking about today, it just enriches all of it so, so much. Okay. Now, the thing I want to know from you all, though, is especially because we are women, there is a special connection, just like mothers with their daughters here on earth, that we have in this desire to want to know or understand our mother in heaven. So I want to know for you, the ladies who are here today, how well do you feel like you know or have a connection with your mother in heaven? And I want you to put a one in the chat if you're like, I know little more than the fact that she exists. Like, that's the extent of my knowledge and relationship. Two being is like, I know and I've connected a little bit. Like, I'm getting there. I'm enjoying this, but I feel like there's more that I crave. And three is if you're like, I feel like I know and connect with her, and she's like an integrated, active part of my life. Okay. One, two, or three. Where do you feel like you are in your own relationship and connection here? Okay. Ah, I love seeing this. We got such a wide variety here. We've got some ones coming in, one and a half, three, one, two, one, three, one, one, one. Awesome. Okay, so we have a bunch here that are in like that newer stage of understanding, and that is so beautiful because there is such a sacred desire in that. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that today. We also, though, have our personal lives, right? So there's this sacred desire to understand spiritually who we are and what that means and how that matters. But we also have like our real life too, right? Personal life, things that are going on, the dishes that have to get long, the errands we're running, all the balls we're juggling, right? And those things can be difficult too. And in fact, sometimes they really weigh us down. In fact, right now, I have struggled to find a person who is not just running like a million miles a minute every day, just trying to keep up with everything. And so I want to know on more of like a personal side of things, what is it that you are actively struggling with today? Okay, and I want you to go ahead and put that in the chat. What's something that's been particularly heavy for you or weighing on you? Doesn't have to be something big or dramatic. It can just be kind of the everyday sort of stuff. But also maybe there really are some like really big, really heavy things happening in your world right now. And I really would love to hear about them so that the things I shared today, I can make sure are tailored more specifically to you. Because again, I want to make sure that by the end of our time here together, you leave feeling refreshed and inspired and full of clarity and direction and peace. Okay. So go ahead. I'm going to share mine in the chat as well today because it's always good for me to be reflecting on this. Um, okay. So we got some good ones coming in here. Do I truly have my own testimony or am I still relying on others? Oh, Jolene, what a beautiful question. I love that. Ashley, changing my mindset so homemaking is not about productivity, but a form of worship. Oh, girl, you are in my favorite place. Yes, yes, yes. Jessica, hip surgery with two kids and husband working. Oh my goodness. Okay. Extra prayers and love are going to you, Jessica. Oh. Suzanne says, still surrounded by males and want more of women's thoughts and abilities in my life. Yes, yes, right? There's just a soothing thing when we get more of that. I have my husband and three young boys, and I love them. Like, I have been a boy mom forever. And then we had a little girl and a daughter, and I was like, I've been missing more of the like girls and women in my life. Like, I didn't realize how much of an impact it would make on just my family, right? So I get it. It's real. It's real. I said, not trying to get so caught up in the things I need to get done that I forget to slow down and be present with my children and miss out on meaningful moments and memories with them. Charlene says, needing to accomplish things, especially those with deadlines, and reading my scriptures to begin with. Yes. Oh my goodness, I relate. Relate. Ashley says, worshiping, not working. Yes. Cynthia says, having a family that has rejected me for reasons I don't know or understand. Oh, that's so hard. So hard. Sending you so many love here. Susan says, setting boundaries with young adults living at home and struggling to live in alignment with myself. Yes. Oh my goodness. It is a challenge. I hear you on that one. Krista says, nurturing myself so I nurture my children and care for my marriage. Okay, you guys, all of these are so good. And everything that we are going to be talking about here today has the ability to help you with these challenges. Okay. And one of the things that I want to know before we dive into how that happens is I want to know on a scale 1 to 5, how are you really doing when it comes to these particular challenges? Like, one is sort of like you're on a boat or you have a life preserver and you're floating down a river, but you're not really getting anywhere, right? So it's like, yeah, this thing is happening, but it's not really dealing with it in any way. 3 is like I'm treading water. Like I'm not drowning, but like I would love a boat or a moment to rest or to feel like I have some sense of direction or stability in how I'm dealing with this challenge. And 5 is like I am drowning. I don't know where the shore is. I can't tell up from down. Like if that's you as a 5 too, just know you are in good company because we all go through seasons like this. Okay. So 1, 3, 5, where on that scale, 1 to 5, you can also put 2 or 3 in between, but those are like our markers. Okay. How do you feel like you're dealing with these? All right, we got 5, we got a 3, we got 4, 4, 3, 4, 3. Okay. Yeah. So we got some heavy stuff going on here, right? And I love that you guys are like actually being real with this. Sometimes we feel like things have to be easy all the time and we have to like be showing like, no, I got it, I'm good, things are going well. So I love that you guys are acknowledging like there's some weight here. Okay, these are hard things. Where is trying to catch up with the boat? I love that, Charlene. So good. I'd probably put that in a 3, right? Like you're treading water and it's like, I'm trying to find the boat, I want to get on the boat. Okay, yes, yes, I love this. Okay. Well, all of the things we're going to be talking about today can help you navigate these and make it easier. And the reason I can say that so confidently is because not only have I experienced firsthand for myself and continue to use and rely on these concepts every day, but I also have women who pay me money every day to be able to work with me, and I have seen what it has done for them in their own lives. And I want you to be able to experience some of that too. Okay. But before we go further, I want to pause and just acknowledge you because you are here to one degree or another because in some way you are curious and care about your divine identity, your sense of self, your heavenly parents, your relationship with your mother in heaven. And I recognize that oftentimes with that can come feelings like the ache of not hearing her spoken of, or of not having more revealed about her, or the uneasiness around not always knowing when or how it's okay to talk about her, or even ask questions about her. And that silence can sometimes feel really disorienting and even lonely, like something essential is missing. And at the same time, life itself is already so heavy, right? Like these challenges that have been listed here, those are heavy ones. Those are difficult. And that's beyond just the day-to-day responsibilities, the emotions we have in our relationship, the endless to-do list, right? It's a lot. And when we're carrying all of this, that unspoken longing for her and that weight of everyday life, it can often feel like we are stretched too thin. And I want you to know that does not mean anything is wrong with you. What it means is you are noticing something true. That desire, that longing you have to know more and connect with your mother in heaven, it isn't separate from the desires you have for a lighter, freer life that's easier, deeper, more meaningful relationships. The struggle with her absence isn't only about questions of doctrine, it's woven into how we experience ourself, our relationships, and our day-to-day life. And that is exactly why you are in the right place today. because what I'm going to share with you today has the power to bring a new lens of peace and clarity, of direction and confidence by showing you how that yearning for our Mother in Heaven is really an invitation to deepen your sense of self. And when you do both your faith, or when you deepen that sense of self, your faith, your connection, your understanding and relationship with her, as well as your everyday life and experiences, all begin to improve and get lighter. And it all begins with knowing this: your struggles aren't random. Okay? They aren't. Now, I'm going to pull up here because I forgot we got some pretty slides here to help you see what we're talking about today. So I'm going to pull them up. If it will let me. Let's see. Here we go. Sharing. Okay. Let me know if you can see this okay. Because today, this is what we're going to be discussing further. Remembering who you are and the Mother in Heaven you came from beneath the noise of life, faith, and expectation. Okay? So, before we go any further, I want to just share a little bit of what President Nelson said in General Conference back a few years ago that just really echoes the sentiments I have in my own heart that I want to share with you today. He says, "Dear brothers and sisters, God is the source of all truth. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints embraces all truth that God conveys to his children, whether learned in a scientific laboratory or received by direct revelation from him. Today, you will continue to hear truth. Please make notes of the thoughts that catch your attention and those that come into your mind and stay in your heart. Prayerfully ask the Lord to confirm that what you have heard is true. I love you, my dear brothers, or here, sisters, right? And pray that this message will provide the spiritual feast you are seeking. In the sacred name of Jesus Christ, amen." Okay? So with that, we're going to be looking, right, how there's this relationship between knowing our Heavenly Mother and our sense of self, right? Every struggle in your life comes back to your sense of self. And your desire to know your Mother in Heaven is actually a reflection of this deeper longing to come to know yourself more completely. Okay? It's important that we develop this deeper sense of self because it underlies everything else that we do, everything else that we're going through. Okay. Now, I want to make sure, can you guys still see the slides if I have them up like this? Is it showing you the whole window or just the slide itself? You're not seeing anything? Okay. We're just going to chat then. The slides are pretty, but they're not as important. So we'll stop the share. Okay. I love technology, right? It allows us to connect. Sometimes it works as we plan and practice. Sometimes it doesn't. It's all good. Okay. But this sense of self, it underlies everything that we do. Okay. And part of the reason why this matters is because our struggles are not random. They may look like everyday circumstances, conflict, pressure, the disappointment, the joy, but underneath all of that, something sacred is actually happening. Every struggle in your life tells a story. And it's not the story of what's wrong with you or what's gone wrong around you. It is the story of who you are becoming. Life is actually trying to show you more of who you really are, because you are not just a person here trying to make it through another day. Okay, you are a divine being learning how to live your divine identity inside of a human experience. And that's often not easy, right? Most of us have never been taught how to be ourselves in a way that feels whole and true. Instead, we learn how to perform, how to serve, how to show up for everyone else. But few of us learn how to actually know ourselves deeply, how to listen to, how to trust, and how to live from that grounded center of who we divinely really are. So instead, we overthink, we overwork, we overgive, and then we wonder why. Even when life looks good on the outside, it still feels like something is missing on the inside. Well, that missing piece is your sense of self. When your sense of self isn't fully formed or deeply rooted, everything feels harder than it needs to be. Your peace wavers, your confidence shakes. Even that desire to know your mother in heaven is that reflection of this deeper longing to know yourself more completely. That desire is more than mere curiosity. It is your soul reaching out saying, I want to remember who I really am. It's the part of you that senses there's more, that you are more, and that life itself is an invitation to rediscover it. So, developing or deepening that sense of self is really what has the potential to change everything because it underlies everything else that we do. But this deeper sense of self and our greater personal capacity to show up in our lives and relationships, or sorry, the deeper we have a sense of self, the greater our personal capacity is to show up in our lives and our relationships. But it's not just that, it's also how much more room there is for God to show up for us too. Right? Think about it like how deeply you've met yourself is like a visual of like how much room there is for God to fill us. Because God is constantly overflowing there with us, wanting to give us. But our ability to receive really does depend on how much room we have made. Right? So when things get tricky in our lives, especially when they're hard or we're struggling, we often know the answer is I need more God in my life. But what we often don't realize is we have to make room for that to be able to receive more of God in our lives. And we often mistake that making more room for God, that what we need to be doing is simply reading scriptures more often, going to the temple twice a week instead of once, praying harder when we haven't taken the time to actually deepen our sense of self first. Because God meets us wherever we are, and God can only meet us as deeply as we have met ourselves. The more we develop our sense of self, the more space there is for God and the good things we are doing in our lives, whatever that looks like of meditation practices or church study. If you really want it to fill your life more, you got to go deeper with yourself first. And so we're going to talk about this, okay? But first, I want to share with you a little bit about who I am. Because at this point, you might be wondering a little bit of like, who is this woman? Where does she come from? What does she know about these things? What makes her think she can talk about this stuff? Okay. And the short answer of all of this is I am a woman just like you, who has been living my life, having my own experiences. I was born and raised in the church, have had various spiritual journeys and experiences that have led me in and out to question and learn and really come to know myself and my spiritual support team in whole new ways. Okay? I'm married to my high school sweetheart, mother of four kids, lover of bare feet, all things chocolate, rainstorms, and I studied as a dual major in biology and psychology at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, as well as studying systems and structures through Theory U via MIT's Presencing Institute, and have also trained in other modalities in things such as professional home organizing, life coaching, trauma work, and untraditional modalities like energetics, timeline therapy, EFT tapping, things like that. Okay? So I've brought all of these different skills together in one space to be able to help women specifically come to know themselves and deepen that deeper sense of self. And the reason why I am so passionate about sharing all these things with others is because I know I'm not special or more capable than anyone else here, right? I, as the time of this recording, have ADHD. I have postpartum depression from the birth of my second child that I'm currently experiencing and taking medication to help with. I also have high functioning anxiety that I'm working through and still recovering, as well as have experienced in the past a lot of specific trauma and around like a near death experience that happened. So, like lots of things that are challenging, which I know I'm not alone. Okay. The reason I share that is because I want you to know I used to live in a state of this hidden underlying constant tension. Like I was over analyzing every decision, silencing my own needs, trying to meet everyone else's expectations while quietly wondering if I was enough. I spent years in my marriage hoping that my husband would show up differently. I was carrying the emotional weight of our relationship, again, overanalyzing everything and quietly resenting that no matter how much I gave, it still didn't feel like true partnership. I also used to filter everything I said, holding back my real thoughts and feelings and needs because I was afraid that honesty would only create more distance or conflict that I didn't know how to handle. And I had a deep love for the gospel, a strong testimony, but beneath it all, there was this subtle emptiness I couldn't name, like a spiritual depth I was made for, but hadn't yet touched. And when I entered into a season where suddenly I had doubts and questions and things I'd never had to navigate before, I didn't know what to do with that, nor what it meant for my future, let alone the future of my family and relationships that mattered most. And the honest part of this is some days I still do. Okay. And at the same time, the things we're going to be talking about today that I'm going to share with you have also helped me to stop measuring my worth, especially as a mother, by how well I perform. And I've started to remember who I truly am, to deeply trust myself and the quiet truth from God that is already within me, all without needing to prove anything to anyone, which has allowed me to access deeper levels of confidence, clarity, and connection with myself, with other people, and especially my children. I've also been able to heal patterns in my marriage without needing my husband to be different in order for me to feel whole. Okay, that is a huge one that has spent so much struggle on that I wish I knew these things sooner, right? Doing it in the way now that has brought us closer together than ever before. I've also learned to stop fearing that honesty in my relationships would cost me connection and belonging, and have discovered that being fully myself is actually what has deepened my relationships, especially, and this is the key, because just being yourself sometimes feels like you're like setting up a bomb and blowing up all the relationships in your life, okay? But when you learn new tools to help you easily navigate the shifting dynamics that naturally come with starting to show up more fully as yourself, that's what made especially motherhood not only easier, but so much more enjoyable as well. I've also found a deeper relationship with God, the divine, and the spiritual nature of our world than I'd ever known. One that feels whole and personal and grounded in spiritual truths I hadn't ever seen or experienced before. And I began to have experiences with God, not just as someone who was distant or above me, but as someone that was within everything and everyone around me. And I began to relish in the beauty, wholeness, and abundance, and yes, joy that is to be found there. And on top of all of this, I began to not only understand, but to realize the ways in which my mother in heaven was not only present in my life and working to support me, but always had been. And how, in deepening my sense of self and thus my ability to recognize her, it has also strengthened my ability to live as a true disciple of Jesus Christ and trust in my Father in heaven in new and meaningful ways. Okay. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's had some of these thoughts or experiences or who wants some of that. Okay. Is this something you've experienced as well? Or like you would love to be able to experience that as well? One is like, nope, I don't connect or relate to anything that you shared. I haven't experienced that. I don't desire it. Five is like, oh my goodness, yes, you are looking at my life, living my life. I've experienced that. I'm living that. I would love to experience more of what you're describing here. Okay. Where are you? 1 to 5 on this scale. Okay. All right, we got some numbers coming in here. 4, 3, 3.5, 5. Okay, yes, yes, yes. 4. So good, so good. Okay. All of that became possible because of one thing: deepening my sense of self. And that's why I want to show you today how you can do that too. Okay? Because again, when our sense of self is underdeveloped, we actually have to compensate with more effort and working harder. And so, honestly, the choice that becomes before us is, Do you want to stay where you are as you are and continue to have to do more? Or would you rather deepen who you are so that you can do less and experience more? Now, most of us, I'm willing to bet, you like that idea of like, okay, yes, I would love to do less and experience more. And I also get to feel a deeper connection with myself and God. Like, sign me up for that track, right? One is like, nah, I'm not interested. Again, five, you're like, yes, sounds amazing. Show me how. Okay. I want to see where we are on this one. Six. I love it. So good. You guys are awesome. Yes, yes, yes. Right? It's such a yearning. 5, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5, 3. Okay, I love this, ladies. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, you're in the right place. So the question becomes, if that's what it takes to fulfill all of these desires and things that we want in our lives, why don't we? Okay. Well, number one is from all the women I've worked with on over all the years and the experiences, the number one reason that tends to come up is we don't believe that we can, right? We get caught up in so many areas of our life where we say things are just beyond my control. Other people get in my way. They don't support me. Or even sometimes we feel like other people are actively against us. Okay? Anyone experienced this before? Again, you're learning this. One, not never experienced that. Five, yes, I have struggled. I have felt like there's so much that is beyond my control, and I don't know how to navigate this. Okay, let's see. We got some coming in here. 2, 4, 4, 3, 3. Yes, okay. Love it. So, what I have found is that while the truth may be that that is our current experience, that, our husband is struggling to show up in the ways that we want. We don't have the relationship with our children that we wish we did. Things feel like they're just beyond our control. There's too much we have to get done, right? The That is not an accurate description, though, of what is happening or why things are happening the way that they are. And the truth is, this is all a part of that bigger pattern that is at play, one that is specifically designed to help us grow and expand. And that everything happening in our lives, especially the messy and the particularly difficult parts, are all trying to help facilitate us through this process. But because we aren't familiar with this divine pattern, we don't see it. We see dishes that need to be done and bills that need to be paid. We don't get it, and we miss and often think that life is happening to us instead of recognizing and realizing it is happening for us. And when we believe that life is happening to us, we keep ourselves stuck. We consciously or unconsciously begin to give away our power. And anytime we do that, we cut ourselves off from our sense of self. And we do this, especially as women, all the time. Sometimes in subtle, seemingly harmless ways, like when you're too tired to withstand your toddler or your teenager's position anymore, and you finally just give in and you're like, fine, whatever, I don't care anymore, right? But other times we do it in really important, impactful ways, sometimes without even realizing it. Like when you start silencing yourself in your marriage or your friendships because you feel it's easier than trying to explain what you really think and feel. So, why do we do this? Why do we keep giving away our power, convincing others that life is just happening to us? Well, it's because somewhere along the way, we stopped feeling safe to trust ourselves. We learned to equate safety with control, belonging with compliance, and value with doing more. So when life feels uncertain or hard, we look outward to circumstances, system, and other people to tell us who we are, what to do next, and how to make things better. And when things don't go our way, we interpret that as evidence that we have failed or that the world is against us, instead of recognizing that life is actually working for us, constantly trying to bring us back home to ourselves and who we divinely are. The truth is, when we start to believe that life might actually be happening for us, we can still struggle to live that way, though, because we don't yet trust it. We don't trust that we're safe without that control or without letting or fearing that letting go will actually lead us somewhere good and not just everything will fall apart. So we keep trying to manage, to fix, and to figure out what is already being guided. And there are two ways we tend to do this. The first one is through self-abandonment, and the second one is through self-protection. Okay. Now, self-abandonment tends to show up as like the quiet martyr. It looks like saying yes to things you don't actually want to do, whether it's callings, commitments, or expectations, because, and this is important, you don't want to disappoint anyone, or you're constantly trying to manage everyone else's emotions so that no one gets upset. Or it can show up as overworking yourself because somewhere deep down you believe your worth is tied to what you produce. And you may even experience it as doubting your own spiritual intuition because what you're feeling feels different from what others expect or what you think it should look like. When we discover that we've been living in a state of self abandonment, we tend to run the other way and turn to self protection instead. And this can feel actually really empowering and even intoxicating, especially after the stifled experience of self abandonment. And yet, self protection is too still a form of mistrust that is also ultimately detrimental to our own well being as well as the well being of other people around us when we take it to an extreme. Self protection can look like protecting your peace so fiercely that you start avoiding anyone or anything that challenges you to grow. We may mistake isolation for alignment, or we may reject community altogether because it feels safer to stand apart than to risk being misunderstood. Sometimes it looks like deciding to only trust yourself, and in so doing, you stop letting God or others support you. It can feel strong, but it's actually self protection masquerading as sovereignty. And perhaps one of the most deceptive ones of all is when we use authenticity as armor, saying, "This is just who I am," instead of allowing relationships to refine and expand who we actually are. Okay, now I have personally lived both of these experiences. I relate heavily to them both. And here's what I've discovered. Both sides, self-abandonment and self-protection, come from the same misunderstanding. And that's this. We think our power is something we have to hold or defend, when in truth, it is something we align with. We struggle with this because we are often used to seeing life through separation rather than through the lens of this divine pattern that is at play. We assume power means taking sides, either with ourselves or with others, with what's right versus what's wrong, because we haven't yet understood that there is a greater order that is already holding both things. And this is where everything starts to shift. Because the moment we stop fighting against life and start seeing it as part of a larger, loving design, we begin to realize it's not that we lack power. It's not that we need to dismiss or downplay the parts of us that seem to be failed or flawed or broken. It's that we haven't yet learned how to recognize when we are in alignment with our personal power and the divine pattern at play. And so the next question becomes, how do we actually do that? Because even once we believe it's possible for us to do these things, most of us don't know how to live from that deeper sense of self on the day to day. Right? We experience moments of it where we feel clear and centered and connected. And then Monday morning hits, kids need breakfast, emails piled up, deadlines are calling and tugging at us, and the world starts to spinning, right? That deeper knowing begins to fade. Not because it wasn't real, but because no one ever showed us really how to stay connected to ourselves and thus to God in the middle of real life. We often get this idea in our minds that there's like my spiritual life. So the time when I'm studying my scriptures or I'm going to church or the temple or doing my ministry. And then there's like my real life. And I somehow have to like find the way to fit them in between with each other. When in actuality, we want to live from a flow with this divine pattern. We've just spent so many years navigating by effort and expectation and other people's approval that alignment and learning that there's actually a flow and these things are part of the same experience, that can feel really unfamiliar. And that unfamiliarity is often where so many of us get stuck. not in the unbelief, but in the uncertainty, because we want to live from alignment. It sounds like a beautiful idea when you begin to hear about it and understand it, but we haven't been taught what that looks like, how to feel it, or how to trust it when everything around us says just keep hustling. Right? So that brings us to the second reason we often choose not to deepen our sense of self. And that's because we don't know how, right? Life is often already demanding enough. Between the responsibilities, the relationships, and countless decisions that fill our days, most of us are just doing our best to hold it all together. We wake up early, already halfway behind, running from one thing to the next, hoping that if we can find just the right system, schedule, or solution, that everything will finally fall into place. And I'm a professional organizer, and I can tell you, I love schedules, I love systems. But here's the truth. You don't need another system. You need increased sensitivity. Here's what I mean by that. The real question isn't, what should I do? The question we should be asking ourselves is this aligned for me to do right now? But most of us were never taught how to answer that. We don't know how to tell when we're in alignment and when we're not. We don't know what it looks like, what it feels like, or even who gets to decide what alignment means. So we do what we've always done. We look outwards for clues, comparing ourselves to others and what seems to be the responsible, admired, or approved thing to do. But alignment isn't something that anyone else can define for us. It's something we discern in partnership with God, moment by moment in the middle of everyday real life. And when we don't know how to recognize it, we end up chasing what looks good, often instead of what is true. Take, for example, the young mom who thinks that saying yes to story time at the library is the aligned thing to do because it's good for her kids and it looks like the kind of thing a good mom would do. But honestly, she's exhausted, her kid is overstimulated, and both of them are running on fumes. So, yeah, going out and being in a public place and doing a big activity with lots of things going on, that isn't alignment for them. It's depletion. What would truly be aligned that day in that moment might be staying home in pajamas, slowing down, and creating a little space to breathe. Or consider the woman who finally slows down for a moment of rest. Maybe you sit down or lean up against the counter, pull out your phone, and start scrolling, and instantly feels guilty because not only are you wasting time and falling behind, not getting that next load of laundry done or sending off that email that you meant to, you're scrolling on your phone. But what she may not realize is that in this moment of stillness, her phone is actually the only way her body can get through to her to say, please rest and pause for even just a moment. Right? That she actually is needing more of that stillness, and it's more aligned for her to be on that phone for 5 minutes and give her body a moment to rest than it is to try continually pushing through to the next thing and the next thing that needs to get done. So, as you can see, alignment isn't just about doing more or less. It's about moving with the rhythm of what's true for you in your life in each and every moment. It's not some destination we're seeking to arrive at, it's a relationship. And once we begin to understand what alignment is and the power of living life moving with this divine pattern, something really interesting begins to happen. Almost immediately, new excuses start to surface. And they can sound so reasonable. Like, I'd love to focus on this idea, but I don't have the time or the energy or the resources, right? Like, we've all said things like that before because life is full. Our demands are real. And between caring for everything else, managing our responsibilities, and keeping things afloat, the thought of turning inward and actually working on ourselves, deepening that sense of self and developing it, that can feel impossible. Beyond the exhaustion, there's also often fear. Okay? Fear that if we slow down, everything will fall apart, or that we'll have to do it alone, without help, without the financial backing, without support. Right? Anyone relate to these things? Like, there's things you should be doing, but you're struggling to prioritize them or to make them important in your life. Okay. One, No, I never struggle with that. 5, yes. It's so hard. Okay. I want to see. Keep going here. Yes, yes, yes. So good. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, I hear it, right? There is so much here, right? We often feel that fear, the fear that there will not be enough. But here's the truth: time, energy, money, support, they don't come before we deepen our sense of self. They actually come in proportion to how connected and developed our sense of self is, because they flow from it, right? It's like the deeper we connect to ourselves, the more room there is for God to pour into us, and the more there is that can come out into our life and our experiences. But when we're out of alignment, life can feel like pushing a boulder uphill. Like every choice feels heavier. Relationships require more effort. Finances often feel tighter. Opportunities dry up. But when we learn how to live our life and realign it with this divine pattern through deepening our sense of self, we begin to move with that divine rhythm instead of against it. It's like turning our boat in the river, going downstream instead of constantly paddling upstream. And that's when things really begin to flow. The same 24 hours begins to stretch further. Help starts appearing in unexpected ways. And what used to drain you now begins to feed you. And that's the miracle of alignment. It doesn't take from your life, it actually organizes you and your life around truth. And developing your sense of self is the thing that is foundational to being able to live in alignment. So here's what's real: developing that sense of self, though, it isn't a luxury. It isn't even a necessity. It is actually something that is now essential for us. The days of living without a deep, spiritually grounded sense of self are over. This is no longer something that is optional. We are truly living in the last days that prophets have foreseen. President Russell M. Nelson has said, in the coming days, it will not be possible to survive spiritually without the guiding, directing, comforting, and constant influence of the Holy Ghost. And how can we possibly recognize, let alone follow the promptings of the Spirit, if we don't even recognize ourselves and we don't have the depth of connection through which this vessel that the Spirit speaks to us? Okay? This is not something you can wait to do. The time to do it is now. It is essential, not just to you, to your family, or to the world. So the question becomes, how much longer are you willing to stay where you are? To keep suffering, struggling, efforting, working harder? How much more difficult do things need to get before you finally decide it's time? I'm ready. I'm taking the plunge, right? I'm going to dive in headfirst into who I truly am and developing that sense of self. Because the cost of waiting, it isn't neutral. It's depletion. Misalignment is exhausting. It drains your time. It drains your energy. It keeps us spinning, constantly trying to fix symptoms instead of addressing this true root cause. Alignment, on the other hand, gives us more time, gives us more energy and more clarity, because we stop wasting ourselves on the things that don't truly matter and learn to start flowing with what actually does. It's why a strong sense of self is so important. It is what makes this alignment possible. Because the truth is, alignment doesn't just happen. We don't just wake up one day with a deep sense of self. We have to know how to recognize it, how to return to it when we've drifted, and how to hold it even and especially when life gets messy. And that takes practice and it takes tools. And that's exactly why I created the framework I now want to share with women like you who work with me, as well as I share it with the women who work with me every day, because I want to make a way for developing your sense of self and living in alignment, not just a nice idea, but a practical thing you can actually live. Okay, so there are three important things I give my clients that you're going to want to take note of here. The first one is new language, because most of us can feel that there is some sort of pattern at work in our lives. We've had experiences. It's not a new concept to be working with God and allowing God to show up in our lives. But the problem is we often don't have words for describing the internal experience and process of what that's actually like and how it interacts between the spiritual parts of our life and the human parts of our life. And without a shared language, everything can feel random, disconnected, or hard to interpret, let alone navigate. When I work with my clients, I give them new language to help them understand what's really happening, a way to recognize and name this divine pattern that's guiding them throughout their lives. And once you begin to see that pattern, you realize that your struggles aren't personal failures. Again, they're sacred invitations to realize who you truly, divinely are. And you begin to interpret life differently as a result. Challenges start making sense, and the clarity alone brings a deep sense of peace because now you can finally see what God is doing with you, not to you. Ultimately, this matters because understanding the divine pattern helps us stop resisting our life and start partnering with it. It turns chaos into context, and that understanding is the very foundation to a strong sense of self. Okay? Now, the second thing that you need is to learn new ways to navigate life. Okay? Once you can begin seeing this divine pattern, the next step is learning how to move within it. And that means knowing how to recognize when you're in alignment and when you're not, how to return to it when you've drifted. And I love teaching my clients practical ways how to navigate this, how to tune into their internal signals, how to discern truth from noise, and how to make decisions that flow with this divine rhythm instead of fighting against it. Alignment at this point stops becoming some abstract or mystical idea, and it becomes something practical and tangible you can actually live moment by moment in meaningful partnership with both of your heavenly parents and Jesus Christ. And this matters because it's what keeps you from constantly second guessing yourself or outsourcing your authority for what's right for you in this moment in your life. And it helps you actually move through life with greater levels of confidence, clarity, and peace, no matter what's happening around you or in the world around us. Okay. And the third thing you need to know is you need new ways to regulate. Okay. Because alignment is not just a mental or a spiritual idea, it's actually a full body experience. When your mind believes one thing, your heart feels another, and your body is stuck in survival mode, it's nearly impossible to live from a place of peace. Okay. And one of the things I love helping my clients learn is how to reconnect those different pieces, how to bring your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit back into harmony so that your whole being moves as one. You learn how to regulate your nervous system, process your emotions, and receive divine guidance from a grounded, integrated place. This matters because when all parts of you are aligned, you don't have to fight yourself anymore. You actually begin to feel safe enough to trust your intuition, to be peaceful enough to hear that divine direction, the guiding action of the Holy Spirit in deeper, easier ways. And you feel strong enough to actually follow through and live that direction in your life. When you have these three things, a language for understanding the divine pattern, a way to navigate alignment practically in your day-to-day life, and the ability to regulate and integrate your whole self into harmony, life stops feeling like guesswork. It does. You move from confusion to clarity, from reaction to creation. You know where you are, what's happening, and what life is asking of you. Even and especially when everything around you seems to be constantly continuing to fall into chaos and disarray and disintegrate, right? Our world is seemingly doing that a lot. And life can stop, or often when that happens, life feels like it's something we have to manage. But when we have these abilities, that's no longer the experience we have. And instead, life starts to feel like something you can move with. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter and start flowing with it does. You live with clarity instead of confusion, purpose instead of pressure, peace instead of performance. And that's where the real miracle that brings us back to one of the deep questions why so many of you signed up for this today and how it unfolds. When you come into greater alignment with yourself, Heavenly Mother can actually begin to reveal herself more clearly to you personally, not through study, not through striving, but through resonance. The more you deepen your sense of self, the more you live in harmony with divine pattern, the more you naturally begin to recognize her. Not as some concept or idea to understand, but as a present you are experiencing in your day-to-day life. Every woman I have talked to who has connected with her, who has had experiences in relationship with her, has described this in one way or another. She finds you when you find you. Now, before we go, I have one last question I want to ask each of you. I want you to think back for a moment, back to the beginning, and I asked you what that most difficult challenge was that you're trying to navigate right now, right? And we're trying to find our boats, right? Or how deeply we're struggling with that, okay? The question I have is, supposing I could help you with that challenge you have right now by helping you deepen your sense of self and experiencing all the benefits of living life in greater alignment, would you be interested in exploring what working together could look like? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask each one of you individually because this is actually an exercise for you, a practical opportunity for you to take home saying yes or no, right? And I want you to remember that thing you told me at the beginning that you are going to be real honest with me of yes, you want to or no, you don't. Zero pressure here. But I want to give you this opportunity. So, Krista, is that something you would be interested in exploring? You can unmute yourself. You can put yes or no in the chat. Either way. Yes, awesome. Okay, Jolene, is this something you would explore or be interested in exploring with me? Again, yes or no in the chat. You can unmute yourself. We'll give a second here for her message to come through. While we're doing that, Rose, I want to go to you. Is this something you would be interested in exploring, learning more about? Awesome. Okay. Charlene, we have connected and chatted in the past, so let me know if you're interested in more as well. Ashley, I would love to know, is this something that you are interested in? Charlene's a yes. Jolene, no worries, you're good. Ashley's a yes. Susan, are you a yes or a no? Susan's a yes. Awesome. Heidi, are you a yes or a no? Heidi might not be here. Her phone is turned on. Oh, yep, she is. Okay, awesome. Maida, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Let me know. Are you a yes or a no? And supposing I could help you with your challenge. Okay, love it. Millie, are you a yes or a no? Can you ask the question again? Yes, I can, Jolene. Think back to the challenge you were struggling with at the beginning here that you were having a difficult time with and what level of difficulty you were having with that. Were you drowning? Were you treading water? Were you floating? Supposing I could help you with that challenge through helping you deepen your sense of self and learn how to live in greater levels of alignment, would you be interested in exploring what working with me would look like? That's the question. So, Jolene, yes, awesome. Millie, I would love to know if you are a yes or a no, if you're still here and can hear us. And while we wait for Millie, let's ask Eve, are you a yes or a no? And these last ones, I know we've got things tuned off, so you might have other things going on. It's okay if you can't respond. You will have another opportunity. So, Nicole, are you a yes or a no? And then Suzanne. Okay, Nicole's not sure. That's okay. Thank you. What I'm asking for is like that open fullness here. Amy, she is a yes. Okay, I love this. So good, guys. Okay, so here's what I want you to do then. Those of you who said yes and you are interested in more, I'm going to put my phone number back in here, 385-212-4236. And I want you to text the word self, okay? Because we want to deepen our sense of self. And what I'm going to do is I have a few different options for you. So those of you who have the time and the availability right now, I'm going to stay on the call and I'm going to answer some questions, ask you some questions about working with me. I'm going to answer your questions that you may have about working with me so that you have more of that information. If you're not able to stay with us right now, I'm providing 2 additional opportunities for us to meet and connect and for you to get your your questions answered. One of them is going to be tonight at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and the other is going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Okay. If you text self to me and you can't stay on right now, I'll send you links to those times so you can hop on a Zoom call. We'll go through all the questions then. Um, and I'm also going to send you a special gift to each one of you of a little free thing that you can enjoy. So make sure you send me that text. But those of you who are able to stay on right now, we're going to continue exploring what this looks like to work together. And so those of you who are here, we're going to shift a little bit out of presentation. And this is the part where I'm going to invite you to open up and share some more. So this will be a space where you can unmute a little bit. I'm going to ask some specific questions of anyone who's willing to share some of your experiences. Because I really want to get to know you on a personal level. For me, it's important that I do more than just share about what it is to work with me and what that looks like, the different ways that I work with people. I actually want to know if this is something that I think would really benefit you personally, because I'm not interested in just selling this to anyone and just saying like, oh, here you go, like buy this thing. It's great. You need it. Everybody needs a sense of self, right? I want to actually know like what's going on in your life, what's happening for you right now. Is this something that's really going to be a benefit for you? And if you feel like you have some things that you want to discuss or that you don't feel comfortable doing in a group setting, go ahead and text me that as well, because we can also set up a time to do this more one-on-one if you feel more comfortable doing that. But I feel like it's a responsibility on my part to make sure that anyone that I'm wanting to share these things with and potentially work with, I actually feel like I can help you, and that I actually feel like it is something that would be of value to you, and that it's something that you actually need, right? Sometimes I meet with women and I'm like, you know what? You're doing really well on your own. I don't feel like you need me or the things that I have to offer. So that's part of where I'm coming from and the questions that I have to share. I'll also be opening up space so that you can ask any questions that you have and explore things together. So that's typically how I run these things. Any other questions before we dive in from there about this segment, I guess? Okay, cool. So the first question that I have is there somebody who is here that is willing to open up and share a little bit about what is really challenging for you in your life right now? Because again, I want to get to know each of you and like, what is it that you're struggling with? I know we mentioned it a little bit earlier in the chat, but is anyone willing to like unmute and share a little bit more?
I can.
Hey, awesome. Thank you, Ashley.
Okay, so um, I am at a place, I'm homeschooling my 4 kids in South Carolina here. I'm at a place where it's hard to find people who are willing to, in the restored gospel, I have lots of Christian friends, and they're so advanced, in my opinion, than members of the restored gospel. Yet God has confirmed I was raised in the restored gospel. I came back to the restored gospel, but people aren't willing to like explore the depths there with me. And so as I homeschool my kids, so I'm a former public school teacher. I ran a business here for 6 years and was very involved in the community. But God's like teaching me that it's time for my husband to be the provider and for me to take a step out of that masculine energy and into my feminine energy. And it's so hard for me. It is so hard to like when you were talking, I was like, you're like reading my last week of, picking up my phone and feeling guilty to just scroll Facebook, things like that. And so a lot of the things that you were talking about, like aligning, and that just really spoke to my situation.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like it. So tell me a little bit more, like how is this shift that you're feeling divinely led into, how's it impacting you on a personal level?
It's amazing when I can actually take time to do it. Like it's amazing to be able to say no and to not have to go with the preschool moms at church to the park because that's not in my family or my best interest. But it's also there's this like tension, this uncertainty, this fear there as well that I'm having to navigate. And of course, I feel stagnant. Like I never want to jump into anything, but I do want to progress. And so what feels stagnant to me, I'm sure is progression. I just don't have the language for it, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, totally makes sense. And how is having that like lack of language, have you seen that show up or impact other areas of your life for you?
I think so. I think my husband and I have always been on the same page. I feel like I'll go through this spiritual transformation or this spiritual like insight, and I'll tell him, and he's just like, "Yeah, I get that." So he's always been really good about that. But with this that I'm going through, it's hard because it's hard for me to explain. He's willing to listen, but he doesn't quite get it. I'm like, I'm not explaining this well. I don't have the tool. I don't have the language. I can't explain it, and so I feel like I'm not moving forward. I know I am, but there's just this tension there.
Yeah, totally, totally. Has that had any like repercussions on like your own emotions or experience or your relationship or what's that been
Oh,
like?
for sure. For sure. There's definitely times where I get frustrated with my kids and they don't deserve that. And it's like, but I don't know how to explain to them, like, I'm in this process and this is what I'm aiming for, but I don't know how to explain it to them. So then we're just at odds. And same with my husband. There's a couple times we've never in our entire marriage, there've never been extreme differences. And all of a sudden there's this extreme difference. And I'm like, but I'm not trying to make it that way. I'm just trying to convey my thoughts here.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And has that been an easy thing for you to navigate?
I would say I've gotten through it. I think I've learned more about God's character and the way that they're guiding me through it. Easy? No, I don't think anything. And it's not impossible. I guess that's it. And I'm the person I know how to make changes, but it would be so nice to have the language and to have other people in community that understand what I'm going through.
Yeah, yeah, totally. What do you feel like that would do for you in your life to be able to have those type of things?
I think it would just help me continue. I think it would help. My whole goal is to teach my children, is to raise my children um, to be part of God's kingdom. And in order to do that, I think I need that language so that I can better relay that message to them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I love this. This is good. I'm gonna shift and see if anyone else wants to open up and share a little bit of their experiences, and then we might circle back. Thank you so much for being willing to like open up and express that. What else is anyone else going through here? One of you willing to share? Yeah, Krista, please.
Hi, Emily. I related with Ashley a lot. I have four kids and I homeschool. We're in Utah here. And I was writing down just some things. I related with you too. I feel like I have ADHD and um, I'm becoming more aware of like my nervous system and how it's being impacted by how I'm taking care of myself. And so I'm trying to find more self-care, find a place that I can just find a voice to just express things and hear other people, because I have other people in my life, but I just don't know really who to turn. They're all going through different things, and so I think it's okay to reach out to people, but I kind of want a place to explore that more, that's more concentrated. And let's see, just I like that idea of having that connection with myself and tuning in. That's something I've been working on a lot too. And just not knowing the language to explain what it is that I'm trying to do too. I get lost in my thoughts. I feel like I can sometimes just get, once I get so far, all of a sudden I'm like, what am I thinking? I can't even remember what it is I'm trying to figure out. And so I feel a little stuck and a little lost, even though like I feel like I'm still making a lot of progress just with prayer and listening to just gospel or talks and things that are just so uplifting. And I feel like I'm trying to immerse myself so much, but I still feel like the I that feeling of just trying to find my foothold in my own life with that. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. What do you feel like has been the most difficult part for you in that trying to find your own foothold there?
Um, just finding clarity, I feel like, because I can't even sometimes seem to focus enough to write down everything that's on my mind that's swimming around, and I'll forget it. And if I do write things down, then sometimes I can't even remember what it things. I just feel like I'm struggling to focus and really pinpoint things to work on, and just being um, disciplined enough to, or like just the lack of like ability. I think it helps just having some people to kind of um, what do you call that? Um,
Process or talk to?
yeah, yeah, exactly. It just and yeah, so right even right now I'm like I just even lost like what am I trying to express? Like I don't know. I like to just have somebody to just reach out to on this. So
Yeah, absolutely. How has that made you feel when you struggled with that?
well, when I feel more organized and more spiritually in tune, I just feel so much empowerment. And when I don't, it's just something that a desire to just, I just want to do so much more and just to be so much better. And it's just, it feels so good. I just want to focus on like the joy of doing better and being better. And so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for opening and sharing these. I have just a couple more questions I want to check in with you to see what I can best support you with. And one of those is like, what have been some of the impacts of this on like your day-to-day life or relationships and feeling like you struggle to actually do the things that need to get done or that you have on your list or like getting stuck in your head or that clarity? How's it impacting other areas of your life and relationships?
um, I don't know how to express it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's going easily or like at a level that you enjoy, or do you feel like it's
I
hard?
think it's going pretty good. I think I've gained a lot of confidence in myself this past year. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good. It's just um, taking it to another level, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a big part of that for you is the connection with others and that having someone else there to walk with you, or what do you feel like is the greatest need? Do you have an idea of what that would be for you?
Um, I guess maybe just like some type of a support group to just check in on how am I doing every week, and
Mm.
and seeing it visually and auditorily to myself. I am pretty good at independently doing things, but I think it's nice. I kind of miss just like things back in the day where it was like institute and college where you and art class. I'm an art major, so just being with other artists and just having like feedback and places to express myself. And so it's just at a new point where it's like I don't do institute. I go to church, but like Sunday school, like it's really intimidating to go to like a huge class and there's only a limited amount of time and sometimes it's hard to follow along with all of the things and it's just I want a place where I can I really love the Relief Society where we can do that, but I like smaller groups too to like focus more on more specific things. And so I just kind of feel like I need like more of an outlet for that.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And how much do you feel like it's impacted you not having that in your life right now?
Um I think it's impacted me a lot because
It's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I don't know, sorry.
No, no.
I'm like I just feel like sometimes I don't know how much to say and express about myself, and I've silenced myself so much, and haven't nurtured that part of me, and haven't felt that support, um and having just somebody that knows a little bit more about what's going on with me.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling lost like that.
Yeah, I hear that. Oh, Krista, thank you so much for being so open and just sharing and letting us see you and hold you. I wish I could like reach through the screen and just hug you and hold you. I relate. I experienced that. And I am willing to bet you are not the only one who has felt that way or experienced it. So thank you for sharing. Is there anyone else who wants to share or express what you've been going through?
I'd like to share a little bit.
Please.
I understand you feeling lost because right now I'm at a point I feel lost. I have been living on the family farm, taking care of my parents for 18 years. And the last 5 years or so, well, 8 years, my mom was diagnosed with another form of cancer and dementia and heart failure. And my dad was failing at the same time, slowly. So for 18 years, I got to spend every single day with them. I lived across the road. I get to see them, spend time with them, work with them. And then age steps in and kind of takes over. And then the last 4 to 5 years have been fully dedicated to every day being with my parents. My father passed away 3.5 years ago. My mother, I lived with my mom. I stayed with her 24/7 for a year after my dad's passing. And then we finally had to put her in a nursing care facility for dementia. And so I spent every day traveling on the road from the farm to town to spend time with her every day. And those years have been the biggest blessings in my life. I have felt of the Spirit so much, and I have felt like I had a purpose, I guess, because when I moved out here, I had to quit work, and I'd worked there 23 years, and I was like lost. Who am I? Now that my parents are gone, once again, I feel lost. Who am I? Who is this person all alone, all by herself? And where does she go from here? My faith is very strong. The testimony I have is very strong. But sometimes I feel like I'm going through the motions. I do my daily scripture study, but I get it done. I'm going through the motions. I'm not fully engaged. And that really bothers me, that I'm just lost. I'm not fully engaged. I'm frazzled. I'm disorganized. I had to clean out my mother's house, and then my nephew had me move into my parents' house. And all of this while she was in the nursing home. And I still feel unsettled just in my home life, in my, personal life. I feel going through the motions in my spiritual life. And I just feel kind of lost, and I'm not sure where to go from here, and how to figure out who I am alone, who I am for myself.
Yeah. Oh, Rose, I can so understand that. I've been watching my mom go through something similar with her parents passing away, and It's a lot. How has that been impacting you, like in your day-to-day life? You mentioned kind of going through the motions, but how else?
Um, I feel very good, and I don't mean that in a bad way, very good about my parents' deaths because it was a blessing for them to experience that with them was a blessing for me. And having a testimony, I know that we can be together again. And I actually just took my mother's name through the temple in August and was finally sealed to my parents at 68 years old. Which, so that's been a lot of the healing too, because I don't feel like I've ever really grieved. I've just kind of accepted. I've tried to go on because I have the gospel in my life and I know that it's okay. So that's why I don't understand the feeling lost and who am I again, you know?
Mm. Yeah, it sounds like there's a little bit of dissonance there for you between
Hmm.
this feeling of loss and also this feeling of acceptance there and not
Yeah.
sure how to navigate it. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel guilty because I have been so accepting.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I should, my sister-in-law just thought, oh, we'd all fall apart and she'd just be there to pick up the pieces. And we didn't shatter. And some people don't understand that I didn't shatter. But I probably have inside, and I just can't face that yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm waiting for the day that I totally just lose it and fall apart. And that hasn't happened yet, and I'm kind of fearful of that.
Yeah. Yeah. How's that impacted you?
Um, I do not accomplish what I thought I would around the house. I still have a garage full of stuff that I have not gone through to put away. I've had stuff in a storage building for 2 years, and I am now finally getting the last of that stuff out of the storage building of my mother's and finishing going through that. We just went through all of her quilts and Afghans this past weekend and split them out among the 7 of us siblings. And so that's like another phase of losing her. But I've been losing her for 8 years when she was finally diagnosed with dementia. It's been a slow process of losing my mother. Losing my dad was sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Rose, that sounds like a lot to be going through. How do you feel like has it been easy for you to navigate through this?
As far as their death, yes, it's been easy to navigate through that because of my faith. And actually, for the first time, I was able to bear my testimony and pray with my mother and for my mother verbally before she passed away. And so I see that again as another blessing. But I just feel like I'm just so disorganized and so things aren't connecting. I just feel disconnected from what I need to do and what I'm doing. And I'm not going to town every day, but yet I'm not getting as much done at home as I did then.
Yeah. 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 And does that feel like that's the experience you're wanting to be having right now, or are you wanting to experience something different?
Oh, I would love to experience fully, to not just be going through the motions with my spiritual life, to not just feel distracted and disorganized and not accomplishing things in my home life. I would like to feel, what's my purpose? What do I do now? I've always had a purpose of taking care of a business, taking care of my parents. I don't know how to take care of myself. And I don't know where my purpose really is. And that's why I think I feel so frazzled.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you would like, we'll say scale of 1 to 10 this time, how important or does it feel like it is for you to figure that out right now? 1 being like, no, it's not an important thing at all. I've got way more other things. 10 being like, I cannot go a day longer without figuring out something here.
Probably about a 7.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So there's some desire around there in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing those. I'm gonna bounce here and get a
Well,
chance to chat with somebody else. I
yep.
appreciate that. Anyone else want to share?
Actually, I do.
Okay, please.
Maida. That's how you pronounce
Maida.
my name.
Awesome.
Maida. Yes. Um, First of all, I want to show compassion to all of us. We're all going through something or another. And what I'm trying to get out of this is how to not think. It really isn't that, I was married to a widower who, and this is all divinely revelation, but however, we all exercise our agency. But I married him with 5 children. Really quickly, his late wife passed away. But before she passed away, she told him where to go find me because she knew he was going to marry me. So he did. But I don't know if it was we were married too soon. He asked me to marry him on our first date of revelation. It was divinely prophecy fulfilled in things that he had been going through, and I said, and but they never accepted me. Well, here it is, 4.5 years later. In Washington, we are required to go through a separation for 90 days, but he's ultimately wants to get divorced because he feels that he lost the trust of his children and he can't gain it back without divorcing me because he was given an ultimatum. Because to be honest with you, I wasn't a peacemaker. I mean, although I've been faithful in the gospel and ordinance worker and all that, and trust me, I have a relationship with both my mother and my Heavenly Father because I've known of her forever. But he chose them, and I'm trying to figure that out, why the miracle of forgiveness happened to me so quickly because God is so aware of me. And when you act in faith, he literally opens the heavens. But what I'm trying to deal with is his agency and why his kids can't be as forgiving, no matter what the trauma. You know what, like you said, we all have trauma. We've all experienced trauma, but I'm just trying to, I came out of retirement. I'm a paralegal. I got a wonderful job in Salt Lake, downtown Salt Lake with a big firm. But I'm trying not to lose myself and keep punishing myself and keep thinking that I have to wait for them to forgive me in order for me to be on. And one of the things that I heard is my voice is shutting up. And I will not allow that because I'm Cuban by nature and you have to be heard, seen, and loved. I get that. But he's silencing me. And I don't want that. I don't want that because it's not who I am. I'm a powerful woman, a daughter of God, a daughter of the covenant. And most importantly, like they said in conference, a disciple of Jesus Christ. And I will not be shut down. But with that, I don't know. It's hard. I never expected to experience this. I was single for 21 years, very independent woman. I adopted a child as a single mother. Now he turned 12. We were all sealed when we were sealed. When we were married, we were all sealed together. And here we are 4.5 years later, and I'm going through this horrible experience. And I never thought it would happen. you know. I've taken accountability, right, for my actions. I've taken responsibility. I've repented, but I can't figure out what is it that they want from me because they said to him, until she doesn't take accountability and responsibility, we don't want anything to do with you or her. So when he experienced that, and you know me, take flight or fight, I wanted to fly. I just wanted to get away, you know. And I said the wrong things, and he took me up on it. So it's okay. I'll give you what you want. I'll divorce you, and here we are. No, no, I won't plead anymore. I just won't, you know. I mean, I'm just not like that. I pleaded enough, and I pray that my actions of love. Because if you saw us together, you'd never know we're going through this. You would never know. So I'm trying to I'm just trying to keep loving and most importantly trusting God. But at the same time, I need to heal. I need to heal from all of this and find out what else can I do to make amends to these children that apparently I hurt so much. Anyway,
Oh, Maida, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That is hard to have like the extremes there, right? To feel this like divinely led experience and then to have it be crashing down in such a level and the difference between those two experiences. So difficult. What do you feel like, you mentioned trying to figure out what it is your kids want or how to heal or different things like that. What is it for you that you feel like you're needing or looking for most right now?
I'll never forget, you know, on August 20th, I literally buried my weapons of war, which were anger, resentment, pride. I buried them, but um, I just want to heal so that I can learn the lessons that my father wants me to learn. Me. He has his own mission. He has his own plan. The Lord has a plan for him. He's a wonderful man. But you know, I just want to heal so that this doesn't happen again. And trust me, sometimes I have a 12-year-old that is that is I adopted him as a single mom, and then when we were married, we got sealed together, and he adopted Liam. But I just want to find a way not to heal so that I can effectively, in a nurturing way, continue to raise this child who is an amazing little boy, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can feel that. I can feel
Did
that.
I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. How do you feel like what's the biggest challenge in your ability to do that right now?
It's just them not accepting my apologies. You know, I remember asking him, did one of his daughters who never spoke to me from day one, asking, because I had text her and send her, and he was furious. He said, "You think it's just going to take one text to make things?" And he was so angry with me, and that was not my intention. All I wanted to know is, did she receive it? So there's a beginning. The window is open for each other to forgive. But like my best friend told me, the gift of the miracle of forgiveness happens to me, and it has. But I can't keep feeling guilt and stuff if they don't give me the same grace and mercy and extension that my Heavenly Father and the Savior give me.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is like part of the struggle is in you're having one experience with God of like feeling that acceptance and forgiveness, but it's a different reality that's still playing out here, and you're struggling to be able to balance those two things and how to navigate and how to move forward and being stuck there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that impacting you being in that place right now?
You know, my faith in my Heavenly Father and the Savior is perfect. Um, I, 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 I told him, do with me as thou wilt. And so I have faith, but it doesn't take away the pain of seeing something fall apart that was so divinely real. This was not a mistake. So anyway,
Yeah. So it sounds like that's a big impact too, is trying to reconcile feeling the divine led aspect of this and then feeling like it's all falling apart and how to fix that or hold that or comprehend it even.
yeah.
Yeah, I can feel that. And how do you feel like I would be able to help or support you in that?
I don't know. I'm taking the first step. Faith without works is dead, right? So
Yeah.
I love my Heavenly Mother. I've known her for many. In 2015, I consecrated my life to my Heavenly Father again, and along with him, she came, and I developed my relationship with her. Um, I just I'm just doing the work. You appeared. I took faith, I initiated, and I'm here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're the therapist, you're the specialist, not me.
Beautiful.
That's why we're all here, honey.
Yep. No, the reason I ask the question is because I always like to make sure and clarify, like if there's something specific or that you are looking for, that I want to make sure that what I see and what I feel like would be of value or benefit also matches and aligns with that. And so, especially when it's something really heavy or deep like that, if it's like, this is the one thing you need, I want to make sure of like, yes, that's something I feel like I can
Healing.
support you in or
Healing is the
whatever.
number one thing that I
Healing.
want for me so that I can grow, and rather than pick up those weapons of war, which I one day at a time, I'm a recovering alcoholic for 11 years. I will not pick them up, but I need to heal because it manifests itself in little ways. Sometimes I talk to my son, and although the words are not harsh, the tone is not quite there. Our Heavenly Father would never speak to us that way.
Yeah.
So I want to find a healing where it just manifests all over. And I finally heal,
Yeah.
because I've been through a lot of trauma.
Yeah, I can tell. Oh my goodness. Okay, that was beautiful. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing. Thank you for opening that up. I want to make sure we have time to get here to anyone else who wants to share. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I think Susan, I may have said earlier wanting to unmute or share. So I want to make sure if you did want to, you had an opportunity.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I well, I feel like I've got 6 kiddos, and I feel like I have a whole bunch of different things going, like with my marriage and I've got like 2 of my boys that have moved home, and that seems really chaotic. And but I think like for me, it's all boiling down to just not having. I just feel like on a daily basis, even just simple choices that I'm making, that I'm just not aligned with myself. And so I think that for that, when you talked about the self alignment and the tools, ways to do that, that is something that I'm looking for and need. And I feel like if I have that, then my relationship with my husband and the things with my boys and just, the things being a mom and juggling and my relationship with each of my kids, that all that would be better. It
Yeah.
just have a rippling effect. So
Totally. I love that you're already seeing like some of those connections between all the different areas that they're kind of come back to that one central thing. If you had to describe a little bit of like just, I know you mentioned kind of a few different areas, but what generally do you feel like is maybe the most difficult one that's like weighing on you right now?
Um, I probably probably my relationship with my husband, I think, because I think that then affects like is a huge one because then I like that affects with our kids and the impact that that has with our lack of communication or different things that way. So probably with my husband, but with that I feel like it's comes back to just not making choices that are aligned with myself. That then there's resentment and frustration and disconnect and anyway.
Yeah. So do you feel like the biggest challenge is like the way you're interacting with your husband is not matching up with what aligns for you? And so then because you're operating in a way that's not true to you, it like he's not getting the full relationship and so you built that resentment towards him, or is he having it towards you? Or like tell me a little bit more about kind of the struggle there.
um I I think I hmm, I think it's probably more with like my I don't know. There's things on his end too, but I think for me, I just like please and appease. I don't want contention. He's like more fiery when he's talking and um and so I almost feel like I'm two-faced where like I can sit in a room and talk to somebody else and tell them exactly how I feel, but when I get in the room with him, I don't want to hurt. I don't want to overload him with like all these different things that have kind of built up over the years um and I shut down um like when he does raise his voice, which happens really quick. It's not like he's yelling, like at me, but he just raises his voice and is more dramatic um and so I feel like he doesn't with a lot of things he doesn't know how like things really affect me.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what these are for.
Um anyways, it just I guess I don't know, it's like this inner battle with myself because I feel like when I'm honest with stuff, then it feels like he's not able to like respond in a way that I need or to like see what I'm like what I need or what I'm saying. And so like with a lot of things, then it's been hard to like speak up and say how I feel. And so um I don't know, like it's just this cycle, right? Then it's like the buildup of resentment, it's the negative talk that I have for myself because I'm not being true to myself and standing up for like really what I need. But I feel like it's so blurred for me that I don't even know like things that I think are needs. He doesn't feel the same. And so it just feels confusing. And I feel like I get in the room with him. And like I said, I can talk to somebody else and tell them like what I'm thinking. It's clear what I need. And then I get in the room with him and like, I don't know what I need, what I'm thinking, like if I should be thinking what I'm thinking or needing what I think I need. So
Yeah. Yeah. How is that? Like that's a difficult thing. And part of why I'm like nodding is because I'm like, part of why I got into this work is because I experienced that, right? So like I
mhm.
relate, somebody else might be listening to what you're describing and being like, how can you be in like those two different spaces? Like, how can that exist? And yet it's exactly what you're saying. Like it's that sense of self that is hard to sit there with. and some of the disconnects and other things that are going on. But for you, what do you feel like is the biggest impact on even just your day to day, like ability to function or operate or other things?
I just feel like it sounds so silly, but like I just I feel like I question myself so much from like because of experiences, communication in situations with my husband where like I can't even set the thermostat to like what would be comfortable for myself because of issues like confrontation with something like that to like feeling like I can like sit down and have a quiet moment and put my feet up in the day because I feel like I should just be like the negative self-talk, like I've got to just keep on going. And I just feel like I'm from the moment I get up to the moment I like sit down at the end of the night when he's finally sitting down, like it's just, it just feels like this busy, crazy schedule to just like survive. And I had like a year and a half ago where like I had my 6 kids with COVID. I ended up homeschooling. The two have like now my last one, like the second oldest graduated this last year, but like I had the other ones that I was schooling. And then I had some major health issues. And I think it was a mental breakdown. They never diagnosed it, but it was like I would have these episodes and when they hit, I couldn't um like I'd go to talk. There was like a number of things that would happen when they'd hit, but like one of the main things is like I couldn't talk. It was complete gibberish. And I just like literally lost my voice. And anyways, I feel like there was like a direct, I don't know if it sounds silly, but I feel like in my marriage and in my life and just who I am, that somehow somewhere along the line, like I've lost my voice. And anyways, I feel like I had some people that like I just think were saving angels that helped me to like get out of that dark space that I was at. And I haven't had the episodes, but I feel like I'm like cycling back and I don't want to be back there again. So
Yeah. Yeah. Very real, very hard. How do you feel like right now, as far as like seeking to help address that and navigate through it? Where are you on like a scale of 1 to 10 of wanting to like find some way to help with it? One being like, it's not a priority, 10 being, I can't go another day, not getting some sort of help.
I feel like it's a 10.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can feel that. That's got a lot of implications and impacts that you're feeling in a very real way right now. Okay. Um, Last question. What do you feel like makes it most difficult trying to navigate this on your own right now? Like you've had these other experiences, you had those beautiful angels and friends and different things who have been helping you. So obviously you have some level of support in your life. I guess another way to ask it is like, what's been working, what hasn't been working for you?
I think like I have some things that I do like exercising and like reading my scriptures and like some routine things that like help and I feel like are like helping. They're helping, but I feel like and I felt like when I had like all the health stuff hit, like especially since then, I don't know, it's just like this. It's like I go to church and I like can feel the spirit and I can relate to the sisters there and like, and I have a testimony, but it's like there's a disconnect there. And like hearing you talk today, like when you talked about just like having room to be filled, and like being aligned with yourself and I can't remember what you said exactly, but like with just when you said, well, one thing that stood up huge was like your heavenly mother finds you when you find yourself. And I don't, I want to find myself and have that connection with her. Maybe that's like more of like the void that I'm feeling, which also then like would also like affect my connection or disconnection with my heavenly father and my savior too, that it's not there like it needs to be and can be. And I
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It sounds like what you're describing, or what I'm hearing you say, is like your needs are so deep now of like what you need to fill you up, and that sense of self is like down here. So it's like it's filling and it's getting
yeah,
filled, but it's like trying to fill that in order to meet all this, and it's just not enough. And so there's that space between here and here where there's that disconnect and that void that's just becoming more and more apparent that is there, and you're ready to like dive into that so you can have more filled up in it.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, so before I move on to like sharing some of the different ways that I work with people and answering some of your guys' questions, is there anyone else who wants to take a turn opening up and sharing before we go there? Okay. If you end up wanting to, or you have any other questions or things you want to talk about beyond this, again, you guys have my phone number. I'll be sending it out in another email later. So if you guys need to chat with me more, ask any more things directly or specifically, no, we can schedule and find a time to do that. But I want to let you know, for those of you who have shared today, all of you, thank you first and foremost for being here and just being you and being willing to show up and to share and to open up and to be vulnerable. Like, I hope, if nothing else, regardless of if we ever work together or not, that some of the ideas here have lit a new perspective and a new hope in your life. And I hope you have enjoyed just the feeling of getting to connect here. Like, sometimes, especially as women, that's one of the key things we need, is just a space where we can actually be real like this, like open up and have these conversations in a way. And I hope that you have multiple places that you can do that. And I'm grateful that you did it here. And even if you don't have other places, I'm especially grateful that you were able to share here, and just want you all to feel that love and appreciation. I think all the women here, as we can see, like, are going through stuff. And a lot of these are not light things, right? There's a lot here. So I want to share with you a little bit about some of the different ways that I work with people, and let you know, like I said, as far as things go on my side of things, from the conversations we've had, I feel good about each one of you who shared. Like, there's not any major concerns on my part. I'm typically looking to see, again, is this something I can help you with? Do I feel like you'd be able to benefit from it? We didn't go in quite as much as like willing to do the work or different things, but I feel like each one of you are like seeing that this matters and it's important to you. So with that, I typically work with people in either a private setting or a group program setting. Private coaching is one of the ways that I love working with people because we get to go really specific and in depth on whatever it is that you're dealing with. And so I typically and we can hone the different resources and things that you need specific to you and your unique situation. I like to describe it that it's kind of like working with a personal trainer, right? So we can get very clear on your routine, your food, your like, what is it that you would need? We would be obviously focusing on whatever challenges are coming up in your life versus just like a personal trainer. That's an analogy. But the point being, private work is something where I don't often do single sessions. I don't typically have time for them, but occasionally I do, and I'll open up a spot for them. More often, I work with people in over a longer period of time. And I find that that's actually really often necessary just to be able to really get the most benefit out of it. So I tend to work with people for 3 month or 6 month long periods. And because those private clients, it's more dedicated and specific and involved work. I only take a limited number at a time so that I can make sure I have enough time to dedicate to private client work. So those spots are not always available, but when I do have them, the way that I typically work is I open up my calendar and you sign up for a day whenever you need a session. You get unlimited sessions via Zoom as well as unlimited Marco Polo for in-between support. Marco Polo is an app on your phone that does video messaging back and forth. And so it's another way that I can continue to support you in real time as you're going through stuff. So you don't have to wait for the next session before you get a chance to check in and talk with me and ask your questions. Or sometimes they're just a great place to process or to cry or to just like have a moment of knowing somebody's there and holding space for you. So the sessions I typically have them on a rolling basis. My calendar opens up availability and it's just the same calendar for all the private clients that I have at that time. You can sign up for a day. I typically have people doing it every 5 to 10 days, depending upon what you're going through. Sometimes you might need a few more at a time. Other times they're more spread out. But I work to make sure that there's enough availability for however many clients I have at any given time. So then you don't have to worry about like, oh, how many sessions do I have? And do I need to use one up here? It's just for that period of time, we work together, we focus on what you need and helping you reach that better level of clarity and support. So that's what private coaching looks like. And then I also have a group program that I run as well. I call it the Rising Feminine Program. And this is a 3 month long program. So it runs for 12 weeks. We meet once a week via Zoom for about an hour to hour and a half long. And in addition to that, there's also course materials that go along with it. So these are short video, almost like a podcast style videos that you can watch or listen to. I'm also a busy mom of four and business owner, so I designed it in a way that could integrate into your life and not have to be like a lot of extra work that you had to be doing. It's something you can listen to, while you're running errands or cooking dinner or whatever. And then, so those are something that we listen to, and then we meet each week to kind of walk you through the program and the different pieces. And the Rising Feminine program is specifically focused on helping you develop that sense of self. And so the way that we do that is over the course of the 3 months, we have kind of three different focuses that we work on. The first month is again focusing on learning that new language here, so that you can really name what's happening beneath the surface, gain that clarity for yourself. It's easier to have a lot more compassion and also regain your power and direction to know how to create change in your life and whatever you're navigating without blame or burnout. So that's a big, powerful part of month one. Month two, then we're really focusing on helping you understand like what you can do. So in month one, it's really bringing us back to that sense of like who you are by having new language to understand that and why it matters. And then in month 2, that's where we really focus on integrating those powerful tools for emotional regulation, intuition, the mindset transformation, so that the things you're experiencing, you know how to train your mind and your body to help you navigate through that easier. And then month 3, we're really focusing a lot on, now that we know a clear sense of who you are and more tools for how to show up as yourself, the 3rd month, we really focus on getting clear on what it is that you actually want in life, or whatever you're navigating right now, and how to partner with the divine in bringing that into your life. So how do we align with that? How do we stop chasing results and living out of survival and start allowing the miracles to really show up? And so throughout the course of the 12 weeks, you're really going to gain that sense of clarity and finally understanding who you are, where you are in your life, and what's next, feeling that sense of peace and how to move through the challenges without losing that sense of self, and the confidence to make decisions from that place of inner knowing rather than like guilt or obligation or feeling stuck. And then, especially that deeper sense of connection, not only with yourself, but again, with God, because there's more room for you to experience that. And finally, that sense of ease. So, having more flow in your time, your energy, and your relationships. So, it's really about that focusing on becoming more of who you already are and laying the foundation for you to be able to do that. I also have a sister program that is the Risen Feminine program. So there's Rising and then there's Risen. And they actually describe 2 different parts of the feminine spiritual development journey and process that we go through. That's where the names come from. So you'll learn a little bit about that. But in the Risen Feminine program, this one is focused a lot more on masculine and feminine dynamics and understanding those in our relationships, which we didn't really talk about today, but I do want to mention it because you guys are here on the seminar, you're going to have a special opportunity here. So I want to make you aware of the sister program because it's really the next step. The first program, the Rising Feminine, is all about you and your sense of self and laying that foundation. The Risen Feminine program is really all about your relationships and how do you take that newly developed sense of self and really start applying it more. And so in the Risen Feminine one, we focus on month 1 is again learning new language, but this time it is again centered around these ideas of masculine and feminine. And when I say masculine and feminine, I'm talking about masculine and feminine energy. So it's not personality, sexuality, gender, anything like that. They are 2 collections of traits, and we'll talk about our own expressions of masculine and feminine energy within ourselves, but also how that plays out in relationship dynamics. So it's a really powerful one to start having new language and new ways of, again, seeing your relationships and how to interact with them. But it really comes alive in month 2 and month 3 because month 2 is where we learn new ways of connecting. So this is where we discover how masculine and feminine energies are designed to complement each other and not compete. And we'll dive more into the patterns of divine partnership that play out in marriaging and parentship or parenting, leadership, even in our discipleship, and revealing that beauty and necessity of having both so that you know how to find these deeper levels of connection that come more easily. And then in month 3, we go over new ways to communicate because one of the things that often shows up is we don't even realize it, but we have masculine and feminine communication that's taking place. And so we're trying to show up, we're trying to communicate, we're trying to say things, but it's like we're speaking another language. And so the other people in our lives, they may be caring, they may be wanting to understand things, they may be wanting to support us, but they can't understand or they can't hear what we're saying. And so this program is really about helping you understand that language and how to bring it into your life and learning new ways to communicate and so that you can actually find that support and that understanding that makes things easier. So a lot of the frustrations we have in life come from that miscommunication, and we can just really feel stuck when it's like the way I have been trying to talk has not been working. And so this opens a deeper way for you to start experiencing that deeper level of connection where you feel seen and heard and supported in your most important relationships, where you get to start having more of that emotional harmony come, how to resolve conflict with ease and mutual understanding, how to develop more of that authentic expression where you can confidently bring your true self into every conversation and setting that you're in. And finally, how to have that deeper level of divine partnership, not only in your own relationships, but also between yourself and your heavenly parents through Jesus Christ, and giving you the practical integration so that your spiritual life isn't just something you're studying or going through the motions, but it's really an active part of who you are and feeling that purpose come out of it. Okay? So obviously, the first question most people tend to have is like, what's the price or things like that. We'll get to that in a second. But before I do, I just want to ask, are there any questions that you guys have here about anything I've shared so far in either private or the group program options? You're welcome to unmute.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I have a question. It's Emily, right?
Yep. Emily.
Emily, I kind of really enjoyed the group sessions because that way we're all women and we can share each other's experiences, strength, and hope. So I like that. Is there something like that that you will offer?
Yes, I'm glad you said that because I forgot to mention the programs that I offer are group programs. So those are ones
Okay,
that you go through in a group setting. And
okay,
so you have um, women that are all joining together, and it's set up in a way where you don't have to all join at the same time. There's the course material, you kind of go through that on your own time. And so people are in different places of that. But when we meet to discuss, it's all around like the same ideas and things. And it's really powerful actually, because even when you're starting out, there are people who are further along. And so you get to like learn from them and they get refreshers on some of the beginning material when you're asking questions. So it's a really beautiful dynamic in that way. So not only do you have the course materials and the weekly Zoom calls for that, you also get access to a small number Marco Polo cohort group. So that's typically between 4 to 6 women that are in there, and those are like your study buddies for the duration of the program. So not only do you get to connect with the women in the group setting on Zoom when we meet each week, you also get to have conversations beyond the scope of that, which is a beautiful experience too. I have women who like make lifelong friendships in there. They'll continue the Marco Polo group on their own afterwards because of just how much that connection and that bond shows up. Having people who now have the same language and the same tools and the same understanding that you do just brings it to another level. And the other thing that's really cool about the group setting too is while I'm an active Latter-day Saint member, a lot of the women that I work with have some sort of background with the LDS Church, but not all of them do. And some of them are in various stages of their faith and belief and experience. And so it's also another beautiful place where you have the opportunity to, again, not only develop that sense of self, but to also practice maintaining it and practice showing up in community and relationship with other people when we're all in different places. So it's kind of an environment where it's safe. Everyone is there with the intention and purpose of wanting to practice being themselves and showing up as themselves and holding space for each other. And so it's a really healing and powerful thing that then when you've had that experience, it also becomes that much easier to then go and apply it to other areas of your life. Because one, you now have a little bit more confidence because you've gotten to practice it, but also two, on like a biological nervous system level, your brain and body has a reference point for it now. And so it's not so much of like an unknown, I don't even know how I want to be showing up or what it is, because you have that space where you get to like try on a new version of yourself and kind of practice being it and saying it and doing things. And then it's easier to take that into other areas of your life too. So great question. Does that
and
answer? Yeah.
yeah, no, it does. And the reason why I asked that because um, the the lady, I don't remember her name, that just shared about her concerns with her relationship with her husband. And then as well as the one that shared the relationship with sitting in church and not and being silenced, you know, um, it amazes me because I am very active LDS member of the church as well. And it just amazes me. And I've experienced this where here we are sitting, we've been counseled to open up and share with each other the most things that keep us up at night, right? Where you want to be vulnerable. And that's what I love about the group, is that we're here, we're anonymous. We don't leave this room and go talk about what we just talked about. So therefore we can trust, we can open up wholeheartedly, vulnerable, spill our guts, because that's the only way that we can heal, if we could learn from each other. And that's what is so attractive to me, about group.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
You're most welcome. I love it. Yeah. So any other questions here? Okay. So, the beautiful thing for you guys is since you are here on the seminar, you guys are getting a special opportunity around the pricing and the packaging for these different things. So, normally one of my group programs, not both, just one of them is $3,500 for the 3-month long experience. For you guys, you are going to get access to the program for $3,000. So it saves you a little bit of there at a lower price point. You get those 12 weeks of the live group coaching and community, access to all of the course materials. You keep lifetime access to those as well as any updates. I'm always continually updating things that I'm doing, and that ongoing support through the Marco Polo as well, and those like practical applications. But if you decide that you want to do both programs, both the Risen and or the Rising and the Risen one, so focus on developing your own sense of self and then also getting tools for navigating that in your relationship areas. Normally it would be 7,000 to get both of those. You can get both of them today for 5,500. So saves you 1,500 overall to go about getting that. But the other thing that is special about this today is I right now have 2 spots that are open for private coaching. And if that's something that you're like, I'm torn between, like, I love the idea of the private coaching where like we can focus more specifically on me and like the specific things I'm needing. If you are wanting to do the private coaching and you're able to pay in full, or sign up for the program, I have kind of a few different options there. But if you're interested in doing the private coaching and the program, the first 2 people who sign up, in essence, however you want to pay, you will get that completely free. So that's a $6,000 value of the private coaching that is just yours included, whether you decide to do 1 month or sorry if I can talk, whether you decide to do one program or both programs, you will get 3 months or 6 months of private coaching completely free. So that's one of the first big bonuses. The second one is that everyone who enrolls before Monday, you will get one private session that you can use anytime. So we can really dive in and focus in on your stuff specifically. And if you sign up before tonight, you will get a second private session for free. And those are normally like a $350 value for just the one session. So that's an awesome bonus to be able to be getting. Now, I know that trying to pay either the 3,000 or the 5,500 for both upfront is a lot for a lot of people. And so I wanted to be able to make that more affordable for you. And so if you are interested in looking and doing a payment plan option, I have 2 different ways that you can go ahead and make your payment. One is by using Klarna. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Klarna, but it's basically a payment processing, and you set up a payment plan with them and it breaks up the total amount into smaller payments. So you can look at that, and it can sometimes go as low as like, I I think for the 3,000, it's as low as like 150. I'd have to pull up the link to double check, but you'll get the link. You can check on that and see for you if you wanted to pay over like 6 months or 12 months, it'll break it down into smaller payments. So that's one option. The other option is to lock in the Semianr special that we have outlined here today and get access to either one or both of the group programs. And if you're one of the first 2 people to sign up, to also get that free private coaching spot. All you have to do is to pay a $550 deposit before Monday. And again, if you pay that $550 before tonight, then you get 2 of those private sessions instead of just one. And so if you decide you want to just do one group program, it's $550 a month for 6 months. If you decide you want to do both, it's $550 a month for 10 months. So just breaking down the math straight like that. You'll get an email that has all of this information summarized in it so you can look it over, kind of think about it, as well as the links to go ahead and make your payments if you're interested. But out of curiosity for everyone here, are anyone feeling like, money aside, private coaching or group coaching, what feels more like something you're interested in if you didn't have to worry about money? We're not worrying about that right now. So I'll go through. Yeah. Susan, what do you feel like for you? Okay. Krista's saying group. Awesome. Yeah, you can put it in the chat or I was going to go through and call on you. Krista, you jumped right on it. You were there. I love it. Rose, private or group? What do you feel for you? Rose, group. Okay. Susan, private or group?
Sorry, I'm having a hard time with my phone.
Good.
I
Or
I
both.
think, yeah, kind of both.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Mida is also group. Okay, I love this. So then the next question is, because you guys are here, like I said, I'm going to be doing another one of these tonight for the other ladies who weren't able to stay on, and one tomorrow morning. But because you guys are here, I want to give you guys first opportunity at being able to get that one of those 2 spots for the private coaching, if that's something that you are interested in. So Charlene is saying either here. Oh yeah, sorry, my Zoom didn't scroll over. We still have more of you here. I'm so glad you said something, Charlene. Yes, okay, so Charlene is either Millie. If you're still here and listening, feel free to comment as well, group or private, which one you're interested in, and Eve, you too. So yes, you would have first availability to be able to claim one of those 2 spots for private coaching on getting that for free, which it looks like, Susan, you're the main one interested in that. So let me know on that if you're wanting to. I am going to go ahead and put the link here for that $550 deposit into the chat so that you have it if you feel like you are ready to make that. But before I do, I also want to answer any questions of like concerns that you might have around an investment or the group or the program, or sometimes also needing to like talk with your spouse and how to go about having that conversation. So any questions coming up for you guys here? Okay. So I'm just gonna go through, and Rose, we'll go kind of one-on-one, and I'm just gonna kind of see where you are. Sorry, Rose, you're like first on all these things because you're showing up on my screen first. But is this feeling like, you mentioned the group is the one that's feeling more aligned for you? Does this feel like something that you would be interested in wanting to do right now?
Yeah, it'll be financially strapping for me at this
Okay.
time. But yeah, I would be interested
Okay.
because
Awesome.
I've not been able to find any kind of faith-based counseling in my area at all.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Awesome. So, I know oftentimes when we're older in age, obviously finances can sometimes be limited in that regard. fixed income, sort of things like that. One of the things is we can discuss some different things together if you want to go more in depth on that. Or the other option, well, let me just ask you this. Does the 550 for your situation right now a month, is that even a possibility for you?
Not really.
Okay. So one of the best options then is I'm gonna send you the Klarna link so that you can look and see about the smaller breakdowns that could work in
Okay.
there, because it can, like I said, it can get lower of like usually in the 200 to 300s or even sometimes as low as 150 to see if there's one of those options that would work for you. And then kind of check in from there. So is it okay if I like reach out to you in a couple days after sending you that link, see if there's one that works for you and we can kind of go from there? Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So I'm just going to make a note that I'm going to send that link to you. Okay, awesome. And
Thank you.
then you are most welcome. I would love to get to support you in this beautiful journey where you are, and just want to thank you so much for being here, and what a neat life experience you've got to have with your parents. And however it ends up working out for the two of us together going forward, I'm excited for this chapter for you and learning the new things that are going to come from you. So thank you for being here and sharing everything that you did today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Maida, I have you next up here on my screen. So let me chat a little bit with you here for a sec. Group it looks like is what you said you were more interested in doing. How are you feeling about the being able to do the 550 a month, or yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Repeat the question.
you're good. So you mentioned that group is the one that you are interested in here. And
Yes.
I just want to know if you had any questions or how you're feeling about being able to do that today.
Well, I like Rose. Like I said, I just came out of retirement. I'm now a single mom and going to be working full time.
Yeah.
I had to get my own apartment and all that. So I don't know what my budget looks like.
Okay.
So I would love to participate, but like Rose, um, what is the minimum that I can start with
Okay.
in the group?
Yeah. In fact, I can pull this up here. Let me see if I have it here. And do you know, like, are you most interested in doing one of the programs, both of the programs?
Well, for right now, because I'm also going to receive uh church counseling through my bishop is going to refer me. He had already done so, and then when I had my first meeting with the therapist, she didn't realize that I had moved from Washington to Salt Lake, Utah, and of course she's not licensed in the state of Utah, so she regrettably said to me, "Oh, because I told her at the end, by the way, I'm living in Utah." And yeah, she was very disappointed that we weren't going to be able to work together. So I'm going to be having those two working with. So I would start with just the one now.
Yep.
I mean, in keeping in mind, Emily, if I decided to pursue the second, I mean, if there would be a discount, um, given to me because I attended the first, except I just didn't accept the responsibility of the second one at first
Yeah.
because I want to live up to my commitments and my word. So I have to be very honest with myself and you.
Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said at the start, like that's my goal here is like just be honest of where you are. That's what I'm wanting. It
Amen.
allows me to help you the best in where you are and what you need. So for my part of it, I like to put these packages together so it's easiest for people to have that discount and do that. But I also understand like, yeah, sometimes timing or finances or different things. We start with one and we go for another. So I can't guarantee that at the time when you would decide that you want to do the second one, what offers or things that are going on.
Okay.
But I also do like to periodically do those things for people who are completing a program of like if they want to continue to work with me, there's often things that are happening there. I can't say what it would be when you finish because I wouldn't know money to
Absolutely.
join up, but that, yeah,
Absolutely. That sounds fair.
awesome. So, yeah. So regardless, if you, let's see if I can pull this link up here. Oh, come on, computer. It's almost loading. Um, but as far as like the program goes itself, did you have any other questions or concerns around that?
No,
Okay,
no.
awesome. And then let's see. So would you be good if I did something similar with Rose? I can send you, make sure you have that link with Stripe so you can kind of look at kind of what the different payment options are and figure out kind of where your budget is and stuff. Rose, I know, it sounds like you were saying it was just you who was needing to make the decision. Maida, it sounds like in your situation, it's
Just me too.
you that would
Yes,
need you.
yes,
Okay, awesome. So if I send that information over to you and then circle back to kind of check in and
yes.
follow up with you, does that work for you?
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay. And then let's see. Who do I have next here? Krista, are you available to chat for a sec? Looks like your screen is off. Uh, yes, Charlene, I see your chat here. I can absolutely send that to you. Krista, there we go. Okay. So I believe you also said group as well. Were you looking at doing one group or both programs for now?
If I did it, I mean, putting everything aside would be the group, but I probably won't do it just because of the finance and everything.
Yeah.
But it's been really great experience just being on here and hearing everything and talking. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you are most welcome. I'm so glad you joined us and we're here. Did you, one of the things I always just like to do my due diligence on my part, making sure I've supported you in any way, especially with the financial aspect of things. Is it just like, is there a specific concern around like making the payments or,
Maybe I guess I would definitely like to still consider it just with looking at the email and the payment plans and talking with my husband and kind of processing it more. So
yeah.
it's still a possibility.
Okay. Do you feel like it's more your own concern around the full amount, or is it more since you have a spouse, his side of the investment, or
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, both.
Okay. And then part of the other piece, sorry, you're so great to let me go through and do all this with you here with everyone. But the other thing that I love to do is sometimes one of the things that comes up is the realization of like we're investing in our sense of self. And so sometimes that's hard to like decide, am I worth this? Is this like the actual thing that I need to be doing, especially when it's such a large sum, right? And it's easy to be like, oh, are there other things I should be putting this towards or where it needs to go? And so I sometimes joke that like the first class of the program is actually just the enrollment process because we have to work through so much in like really connecting with ourselves and our needs and being willing to say, no, this is something that I feel like would help me or is of value. So I know you said if you weren't concerned about finances, like the group is what you would be leaning towards. Do you feel like you are in a place where you do believe that the program would help you or is what you need? Or do you feel still uncertain about that?
I guess I feel torn about it. I did feel like it would benefit me um initially, yeah.
Okay. What do you feel has shifted there? Or like, what is the thing you feel like you still need to know to feel confident that it would be of value to you?
Um just thinking, well, maybe I can just handle it, on my own.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Maybe what if I find out, I guess the doubt, like what if I find out like maybe I overreacted and didn't really
Mm,
and then I'm left with regret or something.
yeah. Yeah. Totally. And well, and I just want to acknowledge too, like you were extremely vulnerable with us here today, and I appreciated your willingness to open up in that way and kind of create the space that invited everyone else to feel like they could be as well. And so just wanting to acknowledge that for you too, and the experience here that you helped create. So it we'll be absolutely happy to send you that email with more of the information so you can kind of look it over. As far as your husband goes, if you felt certain and like clear of like, no, this is the next step for me and what I need, do you feel like that's something he would be supportive of, or do you have concerns around presenting it to him?
A little bit, but I think ultimately he would be okay about it if I really, really felt certain and we were able to discuss any concerns. So, so
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. I know that it can be a challenging thing sometimes bringing up stuff like this with our
Oh
spouses.
yeah.
Sometimes like, yes, right? And so I sometimes like to offer a few tips that I found that have been useful, one in my own life, but also just with other women. And I'm happy to share those with you just so you have them in your back pocket, whether it's for a potential conversation here or even for conversations in the future around other things if you're interested. Is that something you'd like to hear?
Yes, I would. Sorry, my daughter was talking. Sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Yes, yeah, I think you
Okay.
said you wanted to send an email about, is that what you said?
Yep, so I'll send the email, and then in there it's just the advice around sometimes, especially when we don't have that strong sense of self with us, that when we go to our husbands, we're often looking for them to like reassure us or like tell us what we should do or how to navigate through that. So I would just really encourage you to like look at that email, go through it, do whatever your process is, if you need to pray or think or whatever, but arrive at a decision for yourself first of what you want, not necessarily how am I going to do it or what is it that I'm going to do, but once you're clear on what you want, then approach the conversation with him from that space of like, this is what is important to me, this is what I need, this is what I feel like I need to do. And then even if you guys arrive at a space of like, maybe now's not the right time, even though it is something you need, at least you're approaching it from that space of, this is what I need to do. This is what would be helpful. And it's a lot easier because that's actually a masculine feminine communication difference there is when we come in from a space of being really wishy-washy around kind of what it is we want in feminine language, that's not a threat. That's a like, oh, let's collect together and like discuss and explore what is the best avenue here. But for the masculine, that's like, oh, she doesn't know what she wants. If this was really a value, then she would be like certain and clear on it. And so they often step in and just go, nope, we're not doing this because they are hearing from you that it doesn't have value. But when you've taken that time to get clear and know, no, this is important to me, this is what I want to do, it makes it a lot easier to have that come across in the masculine communication of like, oh, I need to like take this seriously or really consider or look into this because it has some sort of value to her. So that's just a little tidbit there.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. So I'll make sure you get that email. And are you okay if I circle back with you in a couple of days, just kind of check in, see how things are
Sure.
going?
Definitely. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and again for opening up and opening the space for all of us. So appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Susan, I have you up here next.
Okay.
All right. How are you feeling? I know you mentioned kind of leaning towards both, like the private and the group program. Tell me a little bit more first just about what your interest and needs are, and then we can discuss kind of the financial aspect after.
Um, well, I love the idea of having, um, well, it's like if money wasn't the issue, then it feels like a faster process if you combine those both together because you're getting more and doing more, right?
Yeah.
And investing more time in. Um, and I I love girlfriends and women relationships are so important. And so I love that idea of having the women in this support. But I also feel like like, I don't know, on touchier things, like it would be nicer to have the one-on-one and Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And just kind of talking with you that I think there'd be a lot of value for both of them for you and kind of the things we're discussing, like you said, having that like group support going through it, but also getting really specific on some of those things that are happening, and being able to address them more directly and a little bit more uh like what's the word, focused, right,
Mhm.
of like what is needed there. So and I think, like I said, the group or the private coaching, I don't always have spots available for that. So I do have the two right now. And so if you do sign up for the group program, not only is it like being able to take advantage of the spot right now while it's available, but there's also that bonus of you're not paying for the private coaching. You're actually only paying for the group piece of it and getting that private one as well. So then looking at kind of the group piece, are you thinking the 3-month version or sorry, one program or both programs together? Uh, what feels
Well,
more
I'd love
value?
to take advantage of that and do that. I'm just honestly with the money, like that's like a huge issue. So I don't know how to even bring that up.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that something that you feel like, tell me more about what you feel like that conversation would go or what your hesitancy around it is. Uncertainty. That's the word I'm looking
Um,
for.
well, I guess because it oh, um, I guess just that I don't I don't know how my husband will, like, I just don't see him supporting that lump sum to invest in that. Because even for us, like I had done some counseling, but I wanted counseling way at the beginning of our marriage 21 years ago. And it wasn't until like I got to that breaking point and then had like counseling through the church. So then
Mm,
it wasn't a cost. And then we had marriage counseling for a short, like both those were short term.
yeah.
And and the couples like then it wasn't a cost, so that's how I got those. So I just don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I just feel like if I can't even set the thermostat for what like a need is for me, then how do I be like, hey, can I spend $5,500 and do counseling?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Um, okay. So let's maybe set up a time where we could talk a little bit more one-on-one and kind of look into what some of the options could be. I'll send you the email as well so that you can kind of have all of the details there. Do you feel like instead of presenting it as a lump sum, doing it as the monthly breakdown of like 500 a month would be an easier way to present it to him? Or do you think just like not even the value, he's not going to see it there at all?
He's an accountant, so he will think of both. I'm like,
My dad's an accountant. That's part of why I smile. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Let's set up another time because I want to see what we can do to try and make this doable for you, and figure out a way that we could present it. I have another thing I have to get to this afternoon, so I can't finish right now. But how does that sound to set up another time that we could discuss
yeah,
it a little bit more and try to figure
that
out a
sounds good.
solution that works good? Okay, that's good. Let me just make a note of that. Okay. So Maida, we're sending you the link for Klarna. Charlene, I'm sending you an email. Krista, send you the email. And Susan, we'll do the email, but we'll also set up another time to figure out things a little bit more together. So, okay. Any
Sounds good.
other questions that you have for me though? Or things there?
So thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Sorry for all that is on you there. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing, for opening all that up. Like, it's a lot. It is a lot. And I just want you to know I see you, and you are doing an incredible job showing up where you are and doing all the things that you're doing. And you are so much loved and cared for and supported. And I look forward to trying to see if there's a way we can add some more of that spiritual support, make it a little more practical for you here.
Thank
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you all for being here. Let's see, Charlene, thank you for putting your stuff in the comments. And Rose, thanks for hanging out with us here. It's been so fun to have you here. And if you guys need anything, again, you got my number. I'll be sending you emails. We'll be in touch. We'll go from there. So thank you all. All right.